Black Little Mermaid and Black Spider-Man are number one and number two at the box office, but black people don't own any wealth as related to these characters. So why y'all celebrating? Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Godbreaker. The man who rules the world takes on the Asgardian god of thunder in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Godbreaker in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. I was on Facebook on Monday and there was a post by Black Culture News stating that the number one and number two movies for the box office of the weekend of June 3rd were Halle Bailey's Little Mermaid remake and the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movie that features Miles Morales. And there were a lot of black nerds out here celebrating this as an accomplishment, but I can't celebrate this as an accomplishment. No, I basically see it as a major disappointment that shows me how many in black fandom really haven't learned anything since 2018's Black Panther. Now, back in 2018, a lot of black nerds and black comic, sci-fi, and fantasy fans were celebrating Black Panther's big box office as a major accomplishment. However, what they weren't really thinking about was how there was a lot of black dollars taken out of the black community and how we were not getting an opportunity to see a black creator get an opportunity to go out here and be able to tell their own story. Now, yes, passively, it's an accomplishment that we have a black Little Mermaid and a black Spider-Man doing well at the box office, but aggressively, this takes away opportunities from independent black creators like myself. And that's why I can't really celebrate the Little Mermaid remake and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse being number one and number two at the box office, because black people did not really achieve anything as related to this empty symbolic victory that many want to celebrate. Because what did we gain as related to a black Little Mermaid or a black Spider-Man, which are basically blackwashed token characters, blackwashed characters that again passively represent so-called diversity and inclusion, but aggressively push narratives that only fit what the white media wants to see as related to black people. That's what many are missing out on as related to this so-called success, because this so-called success really isn't a success, because what we're getting is somebody else's story with a blackwashed character featured in it. Because when we look at the Little Mermaid remake with Halle Bailey, what we're basically getting is Dutch Hans Christian Andersen's story with a black character substituted in the lead role. And with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, we've got Miles Morales, who basically is a character created by a white man. So we're not getting a story that features a black character from the black experience. No, what we're getting are more black characters that are created to be substitutes for previously white characters here. And many people are sitting there celebrating this, believing that this is an accomplishment, when in actuality it is a major setback, because what the studios have done is they've managed to figure out a way to give black people black characters without ever having to go out here and give black wealth to black creators like myself. So what they want to do is go out here and take their own old IPs, put a black skin on those characters, and after they put a black skin on those characters, they then present them to spellbound black fans out here who are looking to fit into the black box that is acceptable to white people. And as they create a covert contract hoping to get white acceptance and white validation, they go out here and identify with these blackwashed characters. And as they identify with these blackwashed characters, they go out here and believe, oh, they're including me, but they're not really including you at all. No, what they're doing is finding a way to exclude black creators from an opportunity to go out here and get their characters to the screen by getting you to go out here and buy into these blackwashed characters who basically are just derivatives of white characters, and get you to buy into a derivative story that really does not give you your culture and your experience the way a black creator like myself does. Now, a black creator like myself, when I'm writing books like the ISIS series or the John Haynes series, I go out here and I do research on black culture, and I make an effort to bring the black culture and the black experience into the stories of these characters, and do make every effort to make those characters extremely unique so that black people can go out here and see a character that they can identify with and relate to and say that this is my experience. Whereas these white creators, they'll go out here and make a character who's blackwashed, like a black Ariel or a black Miles Morales, who's supposed to be Spider-Man, and that character will just, again, be black on the outside, but it will be that white person's view of black people being presented back to black people. And sadly, many black people, because again, they see the skin and they don't see the content of the character, and because they only see the color of the skin and see this character being presented on a white media institution like a Disney or a Sony, they sit there and go out here and take their black dollars and give those black dollars to this blackwashed character, believing that they've got representation, but in actuality, you're not getting any representation at all. No, what you're getting is the exact same characters from these corporations, and these corporations laugh all the way to the bank, taking black dollars with them. And as they take those black dollars with them, they go out here and find a way to avoid giving black creators like myself an opportunity to tell stories about the black experience. Because this whole thing with Miles Morales and Ariel is all about preventing black creators from having an opportunity to go out here and tell our stories. And it's all about being able to control the narrative of black creators and prevent them from coming to the marketplace by creating their token characters. And as you're buying into the token characters, you're believing you're getting a black character, but there's no black writer writing that character, and that's really bad as related to the black experience. Because instead of black kids getting a story from someone like us, or someone like the late great Dwayne McDuffie, who created the Static character and many of the characters of the Milestone universe, we don't get our culture and our history presented in a balanced way. We don't get our stories presented in a humanized way. No, what we get are these reskinned characters, and these reskinned characters just give us some white person story and not give us our own stories. And that's the thing that hurts black children as related to black fantasy and science fiction. Instead of us being able to escape to a world that we create, or get an opportunity to tell our stories in a story we create, what we get is somebody else's story. And again, somebody else's view of black people is why we have all of the stereotypes we deal with today, because we've got some white or non-black person writing about black people and not a black person going out here and writing about the black experience. And that's what flies over the head of many out here as related to movies like the Halle Bailey Little Mermaid, the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and even Black Panther. What they don't really understand is that, yeah, you've got this movie who's number 1 and number 2 at the box office, but there's no black creators who can go out here and be celebrated as getting an opportunity to tell our stories on the big screen. I mean, this whole thing is all about taking away our ability to have a voice and take away our ability to go out here and present our stories. That's what the Black Little Mermaid and the Black Miles Morales Spider-Man are all about. taking away a black person's ability to go out here and have our stories on the screen, because as mesmerized, spellbound black folks are thinking that they're getting mainstream representation, what they're actually getting is just, again, repackaged stereotypes in some cases, because what's happening here is that you have these characters that, again, black on the outside, but created by white creators, and even worse, you have them pushing agendas that are anti-black, because in both the case of Ariel and Miles Morales, we don't see them promoting a black love interest for either of them. No, we've got Spider-Gwen as Miles Morales' love interest that he's chasing. We've got the white prince that Ariel is out here chasing. And we don't get a presentation of a black man and a black woman coming together. No, we get more social engineering that teaches children that if you are a black, you need white acceptance and white approval from either gender, and you need to get the attention and approval of that white person. That was one of the nitpicks I had about Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse that I had with Miles Morales, how he was chasing this white girl. And with Ariel, I've had that issue because, again, you have a black Ariel in a white story chasing a white man with a Hispanic father. And again, you don't see institutions like a black family established in these stories. You don't see black on black love promoted in these stories. You don't see black people coming together together as related to building and being heroes and overcoming obstacles. This is something that you see in fantasy that I would present like The Temptation of John Haynes, where I showed John Haynes and Esteem, two black people coming together as they were overcoming Lucifer and his temptations. Or when I do books like the ISIS series, I try to talk about the issues as related to black women and the struggles that black women face, like feelings of inadequacy and insecurity about their beauty, or dealing with things like having issues as related to black love. Or, I go in depth on aspects of black life in many of my stories. And again, I believe if I had an opportunity to tell those stories, they could be just as compelling as these rehashed, reskinned black characters, because again, they talk about representation passively in Hollywood, but they actively go out here and deny black creators that opportunity to tell our stories. And then what's really sad is that many in black fandom celebrate this, and they celebrate it thinking that this is an accomplishment, but it's not an accomplishment at all. No, it's just that these people have found a way to get over on black nerds and people in black fandom who are more desperate for white validation and approval than seeing their own image created by someone who looks like them. That is the saddest part about this whole thing as related to people celebrating The Little Mermaid and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse being the #1 and #2 movies, is that they can't see that they have been bamboozled by white Hollywood into buying into things that really that hurt us economically. Because yes, these movies opened big at the box office, but none of that money came back to the black community. We did not see any black creators being elevated. We did not see any wealth being brought to a black creator where they get paid for their own intellectual property. We did not see a black creator going out here and benefiting in any way, shape, or form as related to their economic situation. No, we don't get to see a black creator go out here and be able to benefit from seeing their own creation, one, on the big screen, and two, be compensated for it, where they are not only getting paid for their film rights and the gross receipts as related to the box office, or be able to see any money as related to merchandising, because this is how wealth is made. And what the studios have done is found a way to take wealth away from black creators by going out here and giving black people these token characters that take part of the $3.3 trillion in spending power away from black people. And as they're entertained, they can't see how supporting these black characters basically makes them wind up further in poverty. And what's really sad is that at about 5 years later, no one still has learned the lesson from Black Panther. Black Panther basically made $1 billion at the box office, was the #1 movie of 2018, and black people spent close to $400 to $700 million on this movie, but black people didn't see any opportunities brought to them. It didn't see a single black creator like myself get any sort of green light as related to any project. It didn't see any black creator go out here and be able to see their characters get any exposure. It didn't see anybody black go out here and be able to even raise funds as related to a big Kickstarter. It didn't see any black creators go out here and benefit at all. No, 97% of those black dollars from Black Panther went back to companies like Disney, and in this case, 97% of black dollars went to Disney and Sony. Meanwhile, black creators like myself struggle to get sales and struggle to get views as related to positive black stories, like I do with the Isis, Esteem, and John Haynes series. I mean, black creators like myself, we go out here and put in the work, and what they've found is a way to work around working with black creators, because what they don't want to do is give black creators, again, that type of creative control over the black image. 1. 2, they don't want to go out here and give a black creator like myself any sort of power and control over any sort of media. 3, they don't want to see a black creator like myself looking to participate in group economics by going out here and hiring other black people like set decorators and people who do wardrobe and people who do costuming and even people who go out here and do voiceovers and pre-production. They don't want to see a black man going out here putting dollars in the hands of black people and bringing black dollars back to the black community. And that's why they circumvent black creators, because they want to keep the wealth as related to these creations in the hands of all of those whites and non-blacks, and keep us from being able to control our narratives as related to our characters. So while you have a lot of black nerds and a lot of those in black fandom celebrating the box office success, I just see it as a failure. And I see it as a failure because there's no black creators going out here and being the face of controlling the image of black people in fantasy and science fiction, because again, The Little Mermaid and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse do not put black dollars in black people's hands. And again, it's not these are not characters created by us for us. They're not characters created that are owned by us. They are not characters who are created to represent us. No, they are some white person's idea of what they think we are. And there's a big difference between a character that is black and a black character created by white people. And again, that when you have a character that is black created by a black person, you're going to get a balanced and humanized picture in most cases. I mean, when you read a book like a SJS Direct book, you get a completely different experience. And this is something people have told me, that I get a completely different experience than what I would get from other types of characters. And the stories that I get are richer and more multidimensional. And again, this is what is cost as related to these types of projects. Again, we don't get that rich, diverse picture that shows you balanced, humanized images of black people. No, we get characters who want to fit into a white world, look for white acceptance and white approval, but don't empower black people by showing us as we are. And that's what takes away from the diversity of thought as related to so-called diversity. And that's what's sad, again, that people are missing as they celebrate, oh, they're the #1 and #2 movies at the box office, but they're the #1 and #2 movies that keep pushing the same narratives as related to black people. And again, keep the money in white and non-black hands, keeping black people poor. And again, black people looking at it and not really looking at the big picture, and not looking at the big picture because all they're thinking about is oh, I'm going to get some brownie points with some whites and non-blacks. Some whites and non-blacks in Hollywood are paying me attention. They see me, they see our characters, they represent us, and creating a covert contract where they believe, oh, if these white people are paying attention to me, it's going to lead to more fantasy projects. No, it didn't lead to any more fantasy projects in 2018 when Black Panther was #1 at the box office. It didn't lead to any more new black creators getting their projects greenlit when Black Panther Wakanda Forever was opening strong in 2022, and it still hasn't opened any sort of doors, but you have a lot of spellbound black folks still looking for white acceptance through these race-skinned characters, not understanding that these race-skinned characters are about representing what the white media wants to see as black, and making again an opportunity to deny us an opportunity to tell those stories that many people wind up passing on, and not understanding that the black creators out here like myself want to give you that richer picture of black life in black fantasy and black science fiction, and we want to be able to tell our own stories with our own characters, and can do a great job of telling those stories like I've done with John Haynes and Isis and Esteem. I've done out here and told these kind of stories, but it's hard to get black people to go out here and pay attention to those stories because they're so busy looking at the race-skinned characters, not understanding the race-skinned characters are all about promoting anti-black messages right back at you, and these race-skinned characters, as they promote these anti-black messages, go out here and promote the idea that that you need white validation and white approval in order to be a hero, instead of looking to take your power and learn how to be a hero that goes out here and looks to do right by your own people. Now, if you want to pick up some of my action-packed black fantasy on the SJS Direct imprint, like the Isis series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, and other books that I've done, like the Goth trilogy, the Spinsterella trilogy, or my black sorority novel, The Thetas, or my black vampire novel, Eternal Night, you can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. And if you want to see me be able to make more African American fantasy fiction and be able to pay for things like covers and comic book pages, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s with this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes, 1987 at online booksellers everywhere.